Pastor Matt, if we find an Anglo 8 and an African American 7, which one do you want? I said, I want the African American 7.
The white church got more power. They can do more harm. The more power you have, the more harm you can do. And that's why the white church needs to be critiqued, and white theologians need to be critiqued. It has to do with power. It has nothing to do with biology. And that's why the redistribution of power is so essential. If you're not talking about redistributing power, you're just joking around. You just want to feel good. It's not about feeling good. It's about distributing power.
If we find an Anglo 8 and an African American 7, which one do you want? I said, I want the African American 7. Slowly but surely, as we play the long game, break things down and the inconsistencies in white evangelicals on the issues of race, and slowly but surely, as we play the long game, break things down and build things up. I do pray for relationships between white churches and black churches that are not paternalistic, but an environment where we might learn from one another.
This is Wretched Radio with Todd Friel.
The theology of Martin Luther King Jr. This is Wretched Radio at the MLK 50 conference held in Memphis, courtesy of the Southern Baptist Ethics and Religious Committee. Organization thing headed up by Russell Moore, also from the Gospel Coalition. Spent several days sharing the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr., and it appears that only one speaker had the courage to suggest, and it should be more than a suggestion, his theology was not orthodox. Now, I believe that that is a bit contested these days, so let's jump in. Should we have held a conference for a man who would historically have been considered a heretic?
To do with Black Lives Matter. I think that's interesting that I'm being asked that, but here are just some thoughts. I think Black Lives Matter was launched from a kind of sincere hurt in the psyche and soul of African American men and women. And so, like all things, there's going to be really good things in that. There's going to be light, and then there's going to be shadow. There's going to be darkness. Now, that's true of everything. Right? There isn't any institution, any movement, any organization that does not have light and darkness, right? We live in a Genesis 3 world. And so what we want to do as Christians is we want to embrace the gold, we want to embrace the light, and we want to reject the darkness. And so Black Lives Matter, they're saying, hey, there's an issue here that we think people are missing. So they're not saying that all lives don't matter. In fact, I haven't met anyone that doesn't say that all lives matter. They're just trying to highlight, hey, here's something we think that by and large culture is missing, and we're trying to make you aware of it. So the Black Lives Movement, now there's some radicals in there that I don't think speak for the entire movement. So I'm talking about the light in the movement of saying, hey, this is an issue that culture needs to take a deep look at and consider. And so I would urge you as Christians to look for the light while you reject the darkness. And so again, I think it was birthed out of a legitimate response of hurt.